First, we kissed at the bar, and then much later in the hotel lobby, where all of the tracked-in snow had melted into dark, wet stains on the carpet. "You're cute," Not Hugh said, flicking my nose as he pressed his thin body up against me. "What's your name again?" I asked. Ben. No, Tom," he said, laughing. "Good. I like Tom." "Tom it is, then. Tom Cruise." "Tom Cruise, I have to go to bed," I said. "My bed?" he asked, his eyebrows suddenly bent in concern. "Of course," I said, though I hadn't been sure which direction it was going. I took off my heels, stumbling behind him to his room where an empty suitcase lay open on his bed. He pushed it to the floor and it landed upside down on top of some crumpled up clothes. I noticed "On the Road" on his nightstand. "A reader, huh?" I said with a smile as he pushed me gently to the bed. "Been reading that for years," he said. "Years?" I said, glancing at the half-inch spine. "I don't read, really," he said. He flipped off the light. "Not fiction, anyway." He kissed me on the neck. On the Road was more or less a memoir, but I didn't say so. I woke in the middle of the night with a dry mouth and a headache. Before opening my eyes, I considered all of the beds I could be in, and I felt for a moment that I was in each one. My bright, quilted childhood bed down south, Hugh's memory foam bed in Midtown, my bed on the Lower East Side, which was actually a couch, and the bed that I was in, the one-night-only hotel bed in Columbus, Ohio. I regretted not taking advantage of the bed that I wasn't in, the one in the hotel room that I would have had all to myself. When I finally opened my eyes, I didn't turn to look at Ben/Tom. I looked at the glowing red alarm clock. My brother, Will, was stationed in Afghanistan, an hour outside Kabul. When he was in the U.S., he lived in a house with 3 bedrooms, his wife, and a cat on a military base in Montgomery, Alabama. All around the base, the walls sported side-by-side clocks, indicating the times in Montgomery, Kabul, and Baghdad. I had no such set of clocks, but whenever I looked at the time, my brain calculated to account for my brother's location. Right then, my brother was in the middle of his day. He was out there blending in with the hot sand, or maybe just eating a crappy lunch. Alive, I always imagined, though the catastrophes that happened out there happened in an instant that you couldn't take back. Through the opened blinds, the yellow hotel lights illuminated a black banister, topped evenly in snow. I thought about returning to my own room, but it seemed rude to wriggle around under the covers, searching for clothes. I thought about getting up for water, or shifting around until I found a comfortable position, but I didn't want to be the kind of guest you wished you'd never invited in, so I just lay there thinking, my temples pounding. I thought about how I was so frivolously in this stranger's bed, while my brother was leading such an austere and purposeful life. I had a hard time integrating this version of Will with the rambunctious older brother with whom I'd been raised. But there he was in pictures, straight-faced and uniformed, flanked by flags. Even his wife, since he'd been gone, had been collecting money for conservative charities by taking long, themed walks and knocking on doors asking for donations. They had gotten married young, as organized people often do, and decided not to have children until my brother found a safer profession. Every year since they'd been married, I'd thought, well, they're older than I am. I'll get there. But I keep arriving at their previous age, having progressed neither in their direction nor in any particular direction whatsoever. In less than a month, my brother would be on leave, and after going home, he would come up to New York to attend a wedding and then stay with me for a few days. I knew that he was staying mainly because my mother had written to him worried, and because my brother was dutiful in each of his roles, whether chosen or assigned. Every time my mother called me, I answered in a hoarse voice. This was because